Welcome to March Ambassador Strategy Call. It's great to see all of your faces. And we were just talking before getting on that many of us have been traveling. So hope you guys are, I don't know if anybody has some spring break stuff going on, but I hope you guys are having a good start to your spring. Um, so the way we generally like to get started is just hearing from new ambassadors. I'm not sure if we have any new people on the call, but I want to welcome everyone. And let's see, we've got four new ambassadors. We do have a lot of people showing interest in the program. So um, we will hopefully be adding more people and just want to continue to ask everyone to share about the program. But here I want to honor and welcome Rick, Jim, Ben, and Guillermo, and see here if we have any of you on the call. So you can. I don't know that we do though. So
I see
oh,
Jim.
there we go, Jim.
Jim.
Jim, would love for you to come off mute and tell us what made you want to join the program or what you're excited about and being part of the program.
Well, I mean, I just love the entire mission, and I love like what you guys are all about. Like I talked to you, were traveling on the last call that we were on, and I was going to do it about a year ago, and I did it, and then the mortgage mastery thing, and I was like, you know what, back here, just do it. So I did.
Awesome. Well, so happy to have you.
Thank you.
It looks like we also have, is that Ben that is
Yes.
on? Okay, Ben, yeah, would love to hear from you as well.
Well, started last year with I saw you speak and at a mortgage momentum event and taking this education thing to heart. Been doing this for 36 years and seeing retirement in the horizon and trying to make a difference for the next generation before it passes. This business has been very, very good to me, and it's a passion project to do this. And never seen clients so uncertain as what we've seen lately with the market ups and downs. And so it just feels like education is the pathway to confidence. So I'm really excited to participate.
Love that. Absolutely. So we actually just launched the Next Gen Homebuyer Report, which we've been doing I've been publishing this for the last 5 years, looking at trends around next gen home buyers and what their feelings are around homeownership. And this year, I think it was more clear than ever around this like lack of confidence and lack of what's anxiety around the market. We saw a ton of data just over and over that the vast majority of people want to own homes. 95% of people say, yes, I want to own a home, but 35% said that they thought it was only a dream. And there's a ton of other data points in there. And actually, I'll share one of them around financial literacy that really applies to our mission. But I think it's just so clear now more than ever how important it is to provide education and what this community can do to not just do something good in our communities, but also be really, making an impact around business objectives as well. So.
Yeah, and then I want to add on to that. I think, from a mission and impact, the problem is clear and it's beautiful that everyone is here. By the way, I just rhymed in case no one caught it. But from a mortgage business standpoint, when you look at the number of transactions, we are at an absolute historical low in terms of loan transactions. And when you look at the amount of equity that people have, you look at the need that the market has, the industry as a whole needs to go on the offense and educate and get to the consumer first. So when you look at all the changes that are happening, if you're a local referral-based loan officer, like this is really good for your business, your brand, to get in front of the consumer and really have if the average age is 38 and we want to get people buying their homes in their 20s, like guys, like we need to have a decade long educational experience where we help families help their kids get into home ownership in their 20s. So it's really good for business. I just wanted to make that point.
So I'll share the link to this report. One of the stats that it was just really applied to our mission and kind of points to some of the big gap that I think leads to, of course, there's affordability challenges that we address in the report and other things like that. But we see that 80%, over 80% said that either they didn't have any education in school around financial literacy or it was optional or a short lesson. So, so of course, that's going to lead to lack of confidence and overwhelm and all of these challenges. And that's where I think we have a huge opportunity when it comes to this community to be able to really provide that education. So yeah, thanks, Alex, for putting that link to the report here.
Yeah, and then by the way, guys, I'm going to share a link. I did a podcast with Bruce Gerke, who's head of lending intelligence for JD Power, and he does a really good job of, taking the JD Power customer insights and what customers expect, and pretty much everything I said comes right out of JD Power's data set. So I'm going to share a link to that interview and highly recommend y'all watch it.
Okay, so I want to move into talking about some wins in the community and just hear from you guys either any conversations that you're having around the mission or for those of you who have been doing this for a while or maybe you're new to the program or to the mission, like what are some of the things that have been coming up? Have you done a presentation, webinar, or have you had a conversation with a client that was around education and some of the things that we talk about here? So I want to just open it up for you guys to share. And Todd, I know you've been on vacation, but you've been doing this series. Any insights from that you want to share, maybe highlight again kind of what you're doing around that series?
Yeah, I'm only laughing a little because before I logged on to this, I checked my Zoom account and I was downloading the next class, and then I realized that I'm not teaching tonight. I thought I had one tonight.
Oh, I thought you
I
did
don't
too. It's in
I
the
don't
account.
teach till next week, but apparently Zoom doesn't have one scheduled for me. So yeah, for those who aren't aware, I committed to teach the full 10 weeks of curriculum that we've got in the presentation section in the platform. And I put it out there to the mortgage community. I put it out to a bunch of real estate agent groups. I put it out on my social media, and it's been a lot of fun. I've done four of the first four classes so far, and it's I always tell the people listening, it's got to kind of walk first, and then we start jogging, and then we run towards the end. Because we kind of started with money mindset, and then budgeting, and then now we're going to talk about credit next. So I'm really excited about that. But it's been super rewarding. Number one, I mean, I get a text from a realtor after the last one showing me was a picture. She made this collage. So I don't know if she posted it on social media because it kind of looked like that type of graphic, but it was her daughter with their dog watching me on Zoom. And then it showed the screen of what I was presenting, and then it showed my little Zoom link for people to sign up for it. And so it's been kind of fun just to see that, I'm impacting kids. I mean, that's ultimately what it's all about. And I think it just continues to be an opportunity. I had two real estate agents, a husband and wife team, call me yesterday saying, "Hey, I heard about your nonprofit, and we would love to figure out how we can get involved, or maybe have you or someone from your team come in and teach it." They have a little community center that they kind of want to be the mayor of their neighborhood, and so they want to really try to figure out how to add value, and they heard about the content, and now they're interested in coming on board, or more importantly, letting someone from my team come in and get in front of their clients as well. So I think it's one, so passionate about the mission, but then there's also this business building opportunity that is not that I didn't expect it, but it's been way bigger than I thought.
So cool. And just for a reminder, or for those who are new or haven't explored this, if you're doing a series or one of those presentations, you just log into your account. It's in the presentation materials, and everything you need is in each of these areas. So, and Todd's sessions are being recorded and uploaded as a training video, so you can actually watch how Todd does them if you're wanting kind of an example or something like that. So this intro one is very broad, very much about just here. Let's introduce these topics, some stories. And we have a presenter's guide. Some of these have more resources around them if there's additional worksheets, or we have some additional stuff that kind of relates to the topics, and you can use as little or as much as you want to. We generally have promo flyers, and then new to this, in addition to those training videos, we have a presenter's guide. So it can help you if you're a little bit like, I don't want to do too much to prepare. You've got your full-time job, and then to prepare for a presentation, it can be a lot. In each of these, we have, some in different slides, like here's some areas you can ask questions or follow up and things like that. So just want
And
to,
that was super helpful, Kristen, for me. I probably prepared for 2 hours for the first one because I was kind of nervous. And then now I've got 30 minutes blocked off as prep time ahead of the class. And so I go in, download the presenter's notes, think of a couple stories, and then where I'm going to build in, because you have the template for it, and then put my name on the first slide, put in my QR code on the last slide, so it's pretty easy, and then I just run through the presentation real quick, and then I'm pretty much good to go. And so even if you did that, probably would be smart to do it a couple days before, get that prep done, and then at least be thinking about it over the next couple of days. But that's really the fun part about it, is that you're all experts at this. And so once you see how it's just laid out for you, it just makes it even that much easier.
and I love the way Todd has set this up, where you're inviting past clients, realtors, and young next gen consumers. And I think having that be so broad allows for more opportunity for discussion and connection. And a lot of course, the materials that we've provided are very much focused on how to educate the consumer. But when I was talking about the next gen homebuyer report, that's another area that you could just go directly to realtors and financial advisors or groups to be able to provide a presentation about the audience that we work with here with First Home IQ. And so in that report, if you want to leverage those materials, we're going to put them into the uh, platform, but you can go in and download the full report, access a couple, like these 2 pages here, as handouts that you would print ahead of time if you wanted to do that, or email out ahead of time, and then use these slides. And Katie is out on spring break with her kids right now, but she's going to create a kind of kit for leveraging this with realtor partners. So you guys will see that come out soon as well.
Yeah, and I have seen a number of industry thought leaders and influencers leverage that content to share on LinkedIn. Ron Stowers is doing that. Brian View, I think this is right up your wheelhouse. And we just ask that as you guys do create content, that you tag us. I mean, this is a mission. This is a movement. This is a community we're trying to build. So the more awareness people get around First Home IQ, the better. And this is a real pillar piece of content. I mean, Kristen's done this, as she said, for multiple years, but it's a pretty, highly respected, highly reviewed document. So make sure you read it and use it.
Hey, Kristen, I have a win to share. Even though I haven't been out educating, Todd just inspired me to think about how to do this myself. So maybe later this spring I'll get geared up for that. But earlier this week we did a demo for a loan officer on our Key Steps product, and during the demo, the individual kind of referenced how he's building this strategy to lead the education efforts in his community. And one of my guys who was leading the demo said, "Oh, that sounds like it sounds really familiar, like a partner of ours, First Home IQ." And he said, "Yeah, I'm thinking about getting set up with those guys. Would there be any benefit if I did that with the Key Steps app?" And Chris said, "Well, yeah, you get a pricing benefit." So yesterday, this guy, Ben Shrewsbury, I don't even know if he's on this call or not, signed up. And I believe, Kristen, you'll have to confirm, he said he was signing up with First Home IQ as well.
That's awesome. Love
So
that.
that's pretty cool.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, so excited about that partnership and how we can collaborate. And we've talked a lot about this, but just being able to provide not just the education, but also the tools through Key Steps and FinLocker to be able to provide that through the program is really exciting. So any other wins people want to share?
Hans.
Yeah.
Hans?
I went to a sort of a last minute. There was a kind of a job fair at the local high school, and so I was helping with a couple of things. And she said, "Why don't you just show up?" Because they were trying to show jobs where kids didn't necessarily need a degree. So kids would come up to my booth, and that was okay. But a lot of the teachers were like, "Hey, what do you do?" And then I told them about the first home IQ stuff. And so I've got like three different teachers going to call me about the education piece of it. So sort of threw me in the deep end. I was like, okay, I'm going to put my toe in, and now I'm in the deep end because the local high school three teachers are going to bring me in. So
That is so exciting. Nice. That's
yeah.
great. We have
Let Katie know if you need any help preparing, because we've helped people prepare to go into those. And then also, guys, when you go out and do stuff like that, get photos so we can tell stories, and feel free to share it yourself and tag us. But we also just love to see that. Katie, always figures creative ways to tell those stories in the market.
Yeah, and also I want to highlight our office hours. These have become so valuable. In fact, yeah, it's just it's a time where you can fully strategize with Katie, who has a ton of experience working with loan officers and in a bunch of different areas, marketing and also education. And so these are held every first and third Wednesday of the month. And it's usually you can come and go, or you can come and stay the whole time and hear other people strategize as well. But it's like concentrated time. You bring whatever you want to strategize on, and you'll get a plan coming out of that. So it's really helpful. Other wins.
Real quick, I've done 2 classes so far, one with a realtor, one with an insurance agent. We've recorded them and sent them out to their clients. And then we're creating micro content with those classes as well. And then the second thing is that, I've teamed up with a property management group who manages 6,000 doors. They have 25 different complexes. And we're starting on the 9th, teaching the classes to their folks for the next 10 classes. So I'll let you know how that goes.
That's pretty exciting.
That's awesome.
Huge. Wow. That's exciting. So yeah, definitely get photos if you can. I mean, this is the kind of impact that inspires others and also inspires people in the community. That is really exciting. Nice work. We have I don't see Jacqueline on the call, but she went into a school recently and talked about budgeting and credit. So that was a win within the community that we wanted to spotlight. Any others want to share? Okay, we'll come back and if you have conversations you've had, whatever that is, we want to hear from you. But we have a huge, huge win with First Home IQ as an organization that you guys are all making possible. And that is we have created a partnership that we're in the process of launching with Student Paths. And this is such a huge opportunity. So last year, we were able to impact through mainly the ambassador program. We were able to educate 1,000 students across the country. Through this partnership, we are going to reach 40,000 active students and teachers through the curriculum. So this is, that's not the page I want to pull up. So in this platform, we have a teacher resources channel that includes mostly like curriculum, but we also have lesson plans and things like that for the teachers. And so all of that is going to be provided through the Student Paths partnership. And we'll add some of these activities into your channels as well. But it's really exciting. It means that we're gonna, I mean, just so much exponentially be able to increase our impact this year. And again, all of this is made possible. We are solely funded through the ambassador program. So you guys are making this possible. And as we haven't, formally launched that, and we haven't publicly launched it yet, but as soon as we do, you guys will get the press release and the information to be able to share that. And we want you to know you're making that possible, and you can share in those wins as well. So exciting times. All right. Let's see what else. So any other wins or anything we want to share before we move on? All right, so a couple other things we want to acknowledge are top donors here. Those are people who are either committing to a $500 a month sponsorship, or are doing and have consistently done that. So these are our top 5 this month, or are committing $100 per loan. So at any point, if you, of course, want to participate more, that is making things like the Student Paths partnership possible. So we just want to honor those who are really making all of that that impact together. So and then we have our
And then also, just as a reminder to all you guys, we want you to, we want this to be a community. So if you know one of those folks, shoot them a text. Great job. I mean, JJ Mazzo was the #1 donor last year, and he's on track to be #1 again this year. But again, community. The more we recognize each other, say, ping each other. We want you guys masterminding with each other offline. So anyways, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this last quarter, we've been working on updating our presentations, and I think about half of those are uploaded into the presentation library channel. We're wrapping up some last edits on the remaining ones, but I showed you guys some of the, presenters guides and things like that. Some of that is going to continue to just be updated as we move along, but that was kind of our big project, and we're wrapping that up. But the next project that we're going to be working on, that's kind of a major kind of curriculum or education piece as an organization, is updating our quiz. So we probably won't make a ton of changes to the actual quiz content itself, but we are going to be making changes to the technology we use, and kind of how that's like formatted in each of your landing pages. So if you have any interest in providing feedback or participating in what that looks like, we will have a committee of people that are providing that kind of feedback and input. So would love to have your involvement there. And again, this is such a great way to not only educate out, like provide people with that information, and help people understand. Some of the feedback we get is like people get such a low score on the quiz that they feel hesitant to take the quiz. So we want to encourage you to share this as, let's see where you're at, so that we can talk about some of the areas that you're less familiar with, and so framing it as more of a let's get to know you kind of thing, and answer some of your questions. So we'll be sharing some more like tidbits around how to frame the quiz, but we continue to get so much. I was just presenting at TMC, and a couple people in the audience were like, I shared this with my kid and it was so helpful. This is incredibly, educational. And of course, a lot of people share this at the beginning of presentations, or in as a presentation itself, of just being able to discuss that with people, or in early conversations with clients. But we want to make that easier, and again, continue to develop in the way that looks and feels. So yeah, want to be able to have you involved in that process. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts?
Kristen,
Yeah.
if I could real quick, because I'm going to have to jump in a minute, but
Yeah.
Danny Harani is here. And Danny, I'm going to put you on the spot here in a minute. But so Danny, I used to interview Danny years ago as a grandmaster mortgage coach. So first of all, he's one of the top mortgage coaches, in my opinion, ever, and used to really train a lot of loan officers. I mean, today he's a executive with Neo, powered by Better, so part of the Better Mortgage organization, and we've got probably about seven-ish of their loan officers that are ambassadors. And part of I think why Danny's here is to consider, hey, should we lean into this as a lender? But Danny, would you mind just sharing everybody? Because I know when you and I talked, you you had vision not only as a loan officer, why a loan officer should do this, but why a company should be leaning into this mission. Do you mind sharing that?
I don't mind at all. I think that in particular our company, but I think that most of the people who are on this call, likely work with a similarly mission-driven company, or you've carved out a mission-driven island for yourself. And I think that communicating out to the world that we can do good to do good, and that we're not just an industry that is here to transact, but we're actually trying to impact communities and improve the communities that we're making an impact in, is just it's I feel it's almost an existential event for our industry to be framed in that way. And we need to band together as a community to do it. So the faster we can get a loud enough megaphone so people understand, what we do and why we do it collectively, not just at Neo, but everywhere that you are working also, I think the faster we can reframe for the clients that they deserve to be treated differently and better than they have been in the past.
No pun intended on the better there, of course.
It just kind of slips out sometimes.
Yeah, I bet it does a lot. Yeah, and I really do believe that this is a really important year, like a pivotal year in mortgage. When you see the transaction that took place between Rocket and Redfin, if you're local and you're referral based, you have to get in front of the consumer. And by the way, there's no better way to do that than help parents empower their kids into homeownership, help teachers empower students into homeownership, and to lead into the next generation. So, anyways, thank you, Danny.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Good to see you here, by the way. So thank you.
Thank you for the invite, Kristen.
Yeah. So that does remind me of one of the stats that I meant to share with you guys from the Next Gen Homebuyer Report. We have seen trust fall in every industry, but especially as we've been documenting trust in loan officers and lenders in this industry over the last few years. And in 2021, we saw that 2 in 3 Next Gen homebuyers said they didn't think lenders were trustworthy or reliable. And that was like a huge, this is that was a big highlight in terms of we need to do something. Like this is, and it leads to what we're doing with First Home IQ. This year, though, we saw that drop significantly. And this is 1,000 millennial and Gen Zs. We are really careful about, making sure everything is statistically significant. And now only 20%. So 1 in 5 believe that loan officers are going to help them make smart decisions about their mortgage. And realtors even were significantly more trusted last year, and now that trust is falling too. And I think this can be alarming, and I also think it is a huge opportunity for us as a community. I mean, to Danny's point and what we're all talking about here around this mission, we can do good, and that's required in order for us to be able to build trust and kind of leading with that education and leading with trust building exercises and things like that are going to make the difference. So okay, so Dave, I know you have to jump. Any last words?
Well, my meeting hasn't come in, so I'm watching Zoom. I'm on a double date right now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, by the way, if I did have closing words, I mean, it would just be a big thank you. I mean, first of all, thank you guys for investing time and money. For those of you that are on video, thank you for, just showing up and help create this community. And by the way, even if you're not on video, I know you probably have a good reason. Appreciate you for being here.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we started talking a little bit about the quiz, and I do want to leave space here. Does anyone have any feedback on that, or things that you'd like to see as we think about either the strategy that you use to share the quiz or things that you'd like to see improved in the future. So things that are working or things that you'd like to see improved. Who is currently, let's see, trying to see who has some of the high scores that might be on the call. Has anyone been using any email activity to share the quiz? Okay, so what Katie has been working on, what we've been working on as a team is kind of creating step-by-step strategies that would be like, if you want to share, share the quiz with this kind of email template, or here's a database strategy that includes sharing the quiz. And because this is not just an education tool, but also a lead form. Or here's the way to have conversations with this. Here's how to leverage this with realtor partners, things like that. And yes, Scott, the new quiz URL is embeddable. The old one, I think, is not as it doesn't work in your platform, but the new one does. So we will be able to, make that work there. So that's good. Part of some of the reason of moving to a new technology. But yeah, anyway, so if you guys think of ways that you're like, this would be helpful, let me know. All right, so moving on to some of the other kind of updates. So last month or I guess it was this month, our last masterclass was with Patty Newby, and she talked about some of the education-based realtor partnerships. We got into a lot of other topics around that, but it was a great session. And of course, you can watch all of the past sessions that we've had I'm trying to remember who was early on, but we've had a lot of really practical. Joe Soto is one, Tim Brahim, Cindy Ertman. We've had some really great sessions, and I highly recommend that you guys go back and watch those if you are not on those calls. But we love having you on the calls. So if you're able to make them, we do this every second Wednesday of the month, and it's a great place for you to then bring leadership into these. We call them masterclass, but they're also a mastermind, and in a place where we want our ambassadors specific. This is industry wide, anyone can join, but our ambassadors get priority in terms of questions asked, and then from these sessions, we provide playbooks and extra resources just for our ambassadors. So that's where it's helpful to have your voice involved, because we can provide more resources for you from it. So our next session in April is going to be with Kat, who is the CEO of LoanSense. She is an awesome human being, and their platform is really interesting. But one thing that comes up a lot with next gen homebuyers, of course, is student debt. So that was a topic that we wanted to cover. It came up in our report as the second biggest debt source of debt for next gen homebuyers, and just behind credit cards. So this is an area that we want to know how to better resource and talk about in our presentations. We also don't have a presentation right now specifically on student debt in our curriculum. So we're going to be adding to that, and just kind of expanding resources around that as well. All right. So then one thing I wanted to mention was, let's see. Okay. Monthly challenge. So last month we focused on creating a reel, and Katie did an example. We had some others share examples. All of those challenges are located for each month, are located in the platform. Let me pull that up here. So if you go into and we're about to update this because there's kind of a lot of resources here, but they're all our challenges are going to be, our current challenge is going to be tagged and pinned to the top. So you can pop in here, see exactly how to do it. You watch an example, download a template. So this one was specifically like you're holding up sheets, and you can do this in different ways, but for whatever that is, it's going to provide exactly what you need. And then you can find past past challenges in here as well. So so each of those are going to be but each month we'll have this in here. We don't have our current one up here. I kind of realized that right as we were starting this call. So we're going to announce that probably next week. And we'll have a new challenge for you. So, but if you guys also have ideas of like, hey, this is a challenge we're going to do. I can't remember what you might have gotten a text where we were talking about doing a cost of waiting. If you have a good cost of waiting or something that you could share on video that's like, hey, let's do I think that's such a really a valuable area to share with next gen homebuyers who are scared about the market, which was a big data point in the report, or are you know, hesitant around thinking that homeownership is available to them, or maybe they should wait. This is a really great way to just say, here, for example, here's what the cost of, you know, cost of waiting looks like, in an area that I think as a community we could bring some more leadership around. So we're working on different strategies. Like 1 month, if you weren't here, we did an email database strategy where everyone sent out emails. We've done social media posts, but we want to continue to find ways to bring leadership in different ways. And then we have some new social media. We're working on a kind of social media strategy where we're incorporating younger voices like Gen Z borrowers or Gen Z financial leaders and sharing their content. And we want to intersperse that with ambassadors sharing content as well. So we would collaborate with you on posts like what I'm talking about. And so if you're interested in being involved there, we'll be putting out requests around that. But, you know, we'd love to have your leadership there as well. All right. So that kind of wraps up most of the announcements that I had. One thing I wanted to mention again is just that we have this incredible FinLocker partnership. And if you missed the launch call, you can watch this. This is in the platform, but I'll also drop this in the chat where you can learn more about what that looks like and how FinLocker has made their platform available for our ambassadors to be able to use in the work that we do with reaching Gen Z and in the schools and things like that. So, and a discount on the Key Steps program. So we're going to continue to develop that. And Brian, I want us to work on, you know, maybe creating some scenarios and highlighting some of you who are using that program so that we can use that as examples. So I will drop that in the chat here real quick too.
And Kristen, I did a long demo last week on Key Steps. So I'll drop the YouTube to that as well.
Okay.
It's like just under an hour long, but goes through the consumer experience, the loan officer experience, and then we have a bunch of marketing content, social media content that we create specifically for it, so that it's all in there as well.
Perfect. That's awesome.
And then you and I are recording an interview tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, doing a LinkedIn Live.
Well, LinkedIn sort of live. It'll
Oh, okay. Recorded, then later posted.
recorded for a live recording.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. All right. Last thing, I already mentioned this, but again, can't emphasize enough how incredible these office hours have been and the stories that are coming out of that. So really encourage you to be a part of that, strategize on any area, whether it be, you know, you want to better understand some of the resources that we have, or you want to strategize on doing a presentation, or, you know, getting more involved in social media with education. Any of that is going to be, this is going to be a great place for that. And then there's one other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't put in the slides, I'm forgetting, but I did want to mention we had the Modern Mortgage and Real Estate Summit very recently, and all of those recordings from that are up and live. So you can go in and access those with a 10-day free trial. And as ambassadors, you get 25% off. You just use the code ambassador to access that. So I'll show you what what this looks like. We had a really, really great turnout around all of the leaders that showed up. But each of these have their video and a playbook in there, making it really easy for you to either share this with your team or go into realtor groups and things like that. So Todd, anything you'd add on sharing that platform?
Yeah, it's well, one is it was just a fun event, right? We got tremendous feedback on it. And it was funny because I was just getting messages in here about how do I access the content. And so definitely a lot of your mortgage companies have spammed out the information that we've sent out if you signed up of how to get your access. So we apologize for that. But just email us and we'll get you in there. But I think that, just like I weave First Home IQ into most of my conversations I have when I'm talking to realtors or past clients or just people out there in the general world. There's opportunity everywhere. And so I have seen a lot of loan officers who have didn't take advantage of the day of the event using the real estate agent presentations. They didn't host any kind of event or anything like that, but I've seen many people do masterminds post event where they'll highlight one or two videos and then host a conversation around that. And so I think that is, besides the fact there's a lot of great uh, videos for you to watch to learn from, there are also some great ways to leverage that with your real estate partners.
All right, so that kind of wraps up mainly our big announcements. And again, want to just emphasize that we are in this together. We've grown so much over the last year, and it has been completely through this grassroots community that you guys have participated in. So appreciative of the work that you're doing. And we really want to hear from you and continue to grow together. Your voice is what makes this possible. Your participation is what makes this possible. So any questions you have, ideas you have, problems that you run into, or things that you envision as making this better, we want to hear from you. So with that, I want to open it up for any other questions or insights that you've had over the last month, and then we can wrap up early if nobody has anything. The quiet group this month. I don't know.
Well, I would just say look at leveraging your database too. I mean, I love what Walt's doing with the property management company. Most people don't know my first big success in the mortgage business was my buddy was a property manager, and so the first home that he sold was the first house that I financed. But I got so much business over time from the property manager because they had so many clients that were renters. And so, I mean, just kind of be creative like that. I mean, that to me is like, a blinding flash of the obvious that we've got lots of people that we come into contact with that would love us to partner with them to teach, to put you in front of their database, to teach what you're passionate about, and you're trying to figure out how to get in front of more people. They'll help you do that by you just raising your hand and letting them know that you're there to do that. And so I just think that I would just look at that, look at what Walt's doing as an example, and just figure out who do you know who would want you in front of their groups. And you can just start off by saying, hey, let's just do one class together. Or obviously with Walt doing the full 10 classes, I mean, that's pretty amazing. But don't feel like you need to bite off the whole thing. You can just say, hey, let me just come in. I'd love to talk about credit, or I'd love to talk about budgeting. Pick one topic that may be of interest to them, and then just have them push it out. And whether you have 3 people or 33 people there, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is you're going to be impacting people. And so I would just encourage you to think a little bit differently like Walt did. And I think there's a great opportunity.
I love that idea, like what we're doing with you, Todd, of showing exactly how you're doing it and kind of creating formula and spotlighting that. And I'd love to do that with Walt as well, as we think about, like, and each of you as you do certain things, and maybe even Hans, like going into the job fair. Like that's an easy step you can take. And then and I think when people see someone else do it, you can follow in those steps and make that a lot easier. So maybe we can find some ways to just show, spotlight someone and show the steps that they're following too.
Well, in the I think what you'll see is it's far from perfect, right? I mean, I'm just there telling real stories, and the people that I've talked to afterwards who've reached out to me have said that's actually what they appreciate. They love the content, but they love the fact that I'm putting context around it by bringing it real stories of the mistakes I've made, the the successes I've had, the more mistakes I've made. And so it's just a great opportunity for it where you just see you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be you. And that's really all they're looking for. I mean, I think oftentimes we get intimidated by it because we just don't do it that much. But, you talk to clients every day, you talk to realtors every day. It's no different than that. You're just doing it over Zoom like we're doing now.
Yeah, I was going to add to that, piggy on that, Todd. I think, coming from my perspective, because I have clients here, but we're moving into first home IQ a lot in the Housing Link community. So, like a couple things, if you were to zoom out, like pluck Tim Brahim's call with you and pull that out. For example, go into the database. Take your report, Kristen. I already ran it through chat. There's 7 different marketing pieces that you can pull out from that. Like, for example, what caught my eye in your report was how millennials are focusing on different niches to get into the housing, like renovation. Like, man, if you have a background in renovation loans, what a great, easy presentation to take that headline, break it all down and show them how, like, bring a mortgage coach TCA, bring in your bank guidelines, show them just step by step how they can leverage like a renovation loan to get in. How, like, I put a cost of waiting report in there, stuff like that. And then lastly, how I think the agents are going to be a key. And like stuff we're working on inside Housing Link is creating the content, taking the content right that you're generating, mixing it with mortgage coach, mixing it with who, all of it together to create that single, that problem with a solution, partnering with the agent, and then we're going into their database. Jeremy talked about yesterday or day before about the massive, maybe we'll see the migration of first time home sellers. Well, you're going to get to them either through your client database or in that agent's database to get and teach the adults who are selling, but also get to their children. I mean, I told the story when I was on your call, Kristen, how I was putting that stuff together for my community on First Home IQ, and I did a annual mortgage review, and it turned into he had two teenage kids going to college and end up pulling 2 apps that are being pre-approved for buying them college homes. So I think the point is figure out, there's so much in the air, so much resources, figure out, like, I think grabbing Tim's Brahim strategy of going to the database, getting your resources together and concise and that messaging, create the partnership, and then go attack and start into the database first and then move into the schools. But I think there needs to be a plan. There needs to be an organization of content.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and that's something that we're working on too, of like there's so many different strategies you can take, and we're seeing so many different ambassadors do different things, and we want to support all of that, but it can feel overwhelming for someone to say like, okay, well, where do I start? And so we've started a marketing course, but we're trying to find ways that we can say like, okay, start with one thing. Yeah, let's pull out a couple different things and go into that. You're not going to be able to do everything all at once. So yeah. Okay, well, I want to, definitely reiterate, there's a ton of really good insights in that report. I have done webinars with Housing Wire and a few Mortgages of Millennials yesterday. We talked a lot about the insights around the report. And there's some different resources around that might help to kind of give you an overview if you want to listen in on any of those, and we'll share those in the community. But otherwise, leveraging that as a starting point to go into realtor partners can be a really great place to move with that. And we'll be providing a kit around that soon as well. So thank you guys so much for being here today. And if you have any other questions or insights, again, jump on a strategy call or reach out to us. And so glad.
We got a hand up.
What was that?
We got a hand up.
Oh, I think it's a
it's a clapping. I was like, wait, hold on, someone wants to say something, but I couldn't tell the name there, so it's gotta.
Julie, thanks for clapping.
There we go.
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody.
I got so excited. Sorry. See y'all.
No,